Very, very pleased to introduce Cecile Lawrence, the candidate from the Green Party for the U.S. Senate seat. And it is my privilege to introduce Cecile, a candidate that I actually know, I like, and I agree with. So I'm sure everybody has read her bio online. She's been very active in everything that has to do with peace and against hydrofracking, saving our environment, and bringing peace and nonviolence to our community and to our world. So I'll let her give more details about her candidacy and why we should be all supporting the Green Party. Thank you, Cecile Lawrence.
Thank you. I have some materials here that I'd like people to investigate after I've finished talking. And one is a palm card with the entire slate of all the U.S. Of all the New York State statewide candidates, which are Howard Hawkins for governor, myself and Coley Clark for the two different U.S. Senate positions. That is, Coley Clark will be vying for the seat currently held by Schumer, and I'm vying for the one held by Gillibrand, and Julia Willibrand for the one for comptroller, and Gloria Matera for lieutenant governor. So we have what I think, and I think other people agree, is a strong statewide slate for this year's Green Party election. For the election on November 2nd. But the most important thing right now that we are right in the middle of is to get those signatures for us to get on the ballot. And I have signature cards here, signature sheets here, if people want to actually fill out some today, because we need to get quite a number of signatures, 300,000 signatures from half, 100 signatures from half of the congressional districts throughout the state. So it gets a little bit tricky because we need to have people spread throughout the state. And here we are in the southern tier. We need to do the best that we can. Howie Hawkins is going to be in Ithaca this Thursday to give a talk at the Workers' Center upstairs of the Autumn Leaves on the Commons. So if people can make that, that will be good. And we will be having various appearances throughout the state up until we need to turn those signature sheets in, which is in August, early August, August 15th. So our focus right now is to get as many signatures as possible. So we're looking for as many volunteers as possible to actually help carry out this big move for getting signatures. So I'll just go into why I decided to run. I've never run for office before. I have been asked to run. When I was in the Democratic Party and active in the Democratic Party in Tago County, I was asked several times to run for, say, maybe Town of Owego Council or so on. But every time I said no, because I said I don't have any money. And I got the impression was that you needed to put up a fair amount of your own money to even consider running for a small, what might be considered a small position like Town of Owego council person. And I never got any pushback from people saying, well, you know, we will help you do that fundraising. I never got that response from the Democrats that I spoke to when I said no. So I put it aside and I kept doing my volunteer work over the years with Citizen Action of New York, focusing mostly on healthcare reform. I've been down to DC and demonstrated and lobbied when the Clintons were in the White House. They first stabbed at universal health care, and continued with Citizen Action over the years, continuing to focus on the need for single payer, the need for universal health care, hanging in there with Citizen Action. Did a lot of more volunteering, more lobbying. One of the highlights of my activist career, and there have been many highlights, was actually going up to Albany this, was it this spring or last spring when we had the coup? Led by our local senator here. He was one of the leading lights of that coup. and doing a sit-in with about 100 people in then Senator Hiram Montserrat's office. That I really enjoyed. You know, the power of the people sitting in really what is our office, not just his office. But eventually, when I saw that Citizen Action had shifted away from a focus on single payer and started talking about public option, which I investigated and felt that I could not support because it still kept the role of the private for-profit health insurance companies in there, I decided that I needed to make a break after. And it's very hard, make a break after about 15 or so years of volunteer work with Citizen Action, going to DC, going to Albany, going to DC, going to Albany, over and over, going to New York City for various meetings and marches and demonstrations and sit-ins and so on. And then I was asked, because of a post that I made on one of the listservs about the need for a woman candidate to run on the Green Party line against hydrofracking, that was, see, be careful what you ask for, what you put out there, because then I got a response back, well, why don't you run? So I thought about it and went down to New York City for a week and did sort of a listening tour, and met a lot of really interesting people who were members of the Green Party in New York City. And along with Howie, who was down for a meeting, conference with the Left Forum, and decided, yeah, I would do this. So that's how come I got to be where I am now, doing this as a sort of an extension of the volunteer work that I've been doing over the years. Because again, this is volunteer work. I'm not getting paid for this like Gillibrand is. Or Schumer is, or Hinchy is. This is totally volunteer work. My platform is essentially the same as the Green Party New York platform, Green Party US platform. I'm trying to encourage, in fact, I sent a lot of information to the person, a geologist at Green Party US, who is currently working on revising the part of their platform that has to do with energy. I sent him a lot of information about the dangers of hydrofracking. So that should be coming out pretty soon. So the platform, many of the things, in fact, all of the things that you have mentioned with regard to your peace candidate and more, I'm against, as New York Green Party is, against the wars in Iraq and Iran. I have been speaking out against the wars. I was one of the speakers when the St. Patrick's Four were on trial here in Binghamton. So this is not a new thing for me. To bring the troops home now, and I'm very, very concerned about the number of members of military who have committed suicide and who have PTSD and who have severe injuries, because apparently we are able to keep them alive better than we were able to keep them alive during previous wars. And this is not on the front page, not in the radar of so many people, because the media has been taken over by corporate interests. So the bottom line for many of the portions of my platform and the Green Party New York platform is the issue with the role and power of corporations upon our legislature. And one of the things that we have been noticing with regard to hydrofracking is, and I suggest to you that you keep track of this also, is to watch when a legislator, whether it's a federal one or a state one, starts speaking about the concerns of hydrofracking and then starts to change about we need more studies or we need to have a middle way. And you go and check where they've been getting checks from recently, and you see that there has been an uptick in their oftentimes, I won't say all cases, that there has been an uptick in the contributions that they have been getting from oil and gas corporations and the attorneys for oil and gas corporations. So we need campaign finance reform. clearly, because you can see this. This is happening right now with some of our the senators in New York, and I dare say the senators at the federal level and the Congress people at the federal level. Recently, I asked a congressman who was here to promote the fact that he was supporting a federal law to regulate the spills, surface spills, whether any industrial kind, and this was a new thing, not new for New York, because New York already has laws that law that takes care of that, but it would be new and helpful to states like Pennsylvania, which have less regulation than New York does. And I asked him, well, I didn't go and thank him, which probably didn't set well with him, but I asked him, so what are you going to do about the subsidies that come from our pockets, the taxes towards all of the fossil fuel industries? I would like you to do something about those so as to stop those as soon as possible. And I got no response from him. He essentially walked away from me after I made that statement to him. So that's one of the things, one of the many things that I think needs to be done at the federal level, is the removal of the subsidies for, why would they need subsidies? It just boggles the mind. Oil, gas, nuclear, and coal all get subsidies from our pockets to continue in business. Maybe that made sense maybe 50 years ago, but right now, today in 2010, it makes absolutely no sense, except because of the number of lobbyists that the oil and gas corporations sent to Washington, D.C. At least in New York, we heard from the owner of a local solar installation company that they have, the solar industry in New York State has one lobbyist up in Albany, whereas the oil and gas corporations have many, many more who are paid higher salaries than their one lobbyist. This should not be the defining criterion why we have laws or why we don't have laws. We need to move to solar now. We need to move to small-scale wind farms now. We need to move to various things that haven't been invented yet. As we heard recently from the same owner of this solar installation company, Germany is way ahead of us, and Germany is colder than us here in upstate New York. Germany is way ahead of us in terms of solar installation. Education is also very important to me. Having graduated from 3 of the doctoral granting institutions in the SUNY system, I have a master's degree from SUNY Albany, a law degree from SUNY Buffalo, and a PhD from here in SUNY Binghamton. So I really, really appreciate the value of public higher education. And one of the planks that the Green Party has, and they came out with a new a Green New Deal statement, came in my email inbox just today, includes free higher education for anybody who wants to have it and who is qualified for it. Other countries do this. Why can't we have this? Why? Because the priority seems to be not there to have an educated citizenry. You would think that a country that claims to be the greatest in the world, the most powerful in the world, would want to have an educated citizenry. But apparently that's not the case, because higher education, we can't get it free. I've taught students who have to leave early or have to, they come in late because of working 1 or 2 jobs at the same time of taking courses full-time as undergraduates. Bring the hoop troops, and I heard bring the troops home now, and also close Guantanamo base. I was reading today that President Obama had promised, his campaign promise was to close Guantanamo in January. Now is what? Now is July, right? You know, I think this baby is overdue here, way overdue for being born. You know, close that thing right now. And so energy and education and the war and drugs. We have all of these statements like the war against terror. How can you have a war against terror? That's just words. The war on drugs. How can you have, that's just words. It means nothing, but it's sucked up a lot of people. One of the platforms of Green Party US and Green Party New York is the legalization of marijuana and all drugs, essentially, legalization, taxation, and regulation. And at first I was hesitant about the other drugs, cocaine and the others, until I heard about LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And their position is that you will never, ever be able to stop people from using mind-altering substances. And if you do a little history, a little study in anthropology and in evolution, you know why. Because we are built evolutionarily to take those substances if we need them. When we were hunter-gatherers on the plain, in order to keep going or to run away from whatever animal was chasing us, we needed those substances. And we have those bodies still, except that we're not running away from lions and whatever we used to, but we just have them on the street corner available. It makes sense to regulate and tax these mind-altering substances. I feel bad because about marijuana especially, because my mother has glaucoma, and she takes these drops which create a lot of problems for her with her vision and burning eyes and so on. And if she could have access to marijuana, which is proven to help with glaucoma, with the pressure, to decrease the pressure behind the eye in glaucoma, she would have much less, she wouldn't have the side effects that go along with putting those drops in her eyes. So the platform in general, it covers a lot of the issues that you're interested in: social change, social justice issues. Universal health care, I mentioned that. I also want to include in universal health care, which I haven't seen so far in either the New York Green Party platform or the US Green Party platform, at least not clearly enough so that I can say that it's really out there, is access to alternative forms of medicine other than what we have here, because the mainstream Western form of medicine is super excellent for emergencies, but for chronic issues and also for some emergencies. For example, I was out in my garden this past Saturday or Sunday and wasn't paying attention, and nature made me pay attention by either a hornet or a bee stinging me right on my leg. And you found out right away, you feel that thing. And then it started buzzing around my head and said, okay, you got to go in. It was telling me, get out of here. This is my space. So I ran inside, and I know the homeopathic remedy that took care of that. So that I was able to take it, and the itching and the burning and the swelling, my leg is still swelling a little bit. That's how bad the sting was. But the itching is gone. I didn't have to take any steroids or any of these drugs that have horrible side effects, but just take the homeopathic version of a bee sting at the right dosage level, and to have the information and to be trained how to do that. So prisons. Yes, as you all know that there are the percentage of African American, Latinos, and also Native Americans imprisoned is higher than their percentage in the population. That's one issue. We still have not gotten rid of the darn Rockefeller laws in New York State, which we should really nationwide, anything that is similar to the Rockefeller drug laws that are in New York State should be eliminated nationwide. And also the problem with prisoners being counted for residency purposes, so that people who live where prisons are have more, their vote counts for more than the prisoners being counted where their home base is. Let's see. Banking reform, how could I have forgotten that? I didn't forget it, it's just that there's so much, try to put it all on two little cards, what we have to deal with, almost impossible. After 30 years of the Bush and the Bush 1, Bush 2, and the Clinton administrations wreaking havoc upon the U.S. economy and the U.S. culture, banking reform is desperately needed. As Howie Hawkins would say, take care of Main Street and not just of Wall Street. Take, as he puts it also, Main Street and Martin Luther King Boulevard, and not just Wall Street. Even now in this recession, which really is a depression for many people, and I wish we would stop calling it just a recession, the greatest recession since the Depression. Well, how about calling it the second depression? Because that's what it really is. They're making money, hand over fist, and some of that money comes from our tax, our dollars. So bank reform is very high up there with the Green Party in New York and also the Green Party U.S. campaign. And this is dear, close to my heart. We go back to energy again, and we go back to the connection possibly between the economic policies. Maybe I shouldn't say possibly. Maybe it is actually the connection of the economic and foreign policies of the United States and racism and the idea of the exceptionalism of Americans when it comes to spreading empire across the world. I have experienced the devastation done by bauxite mining in Jamaica. I understand now that in the Caribbean basin there is some research to indicate that there are vast reserves of oil and gas and other minerals, including gold, throughout the Caribbean basin. That's being checked on now, investigated now. Apparently there's already some research done. And the countries like the US, Canada, UK, and China are looking to go and exploit and mine, including these vents coming up from the ocean floor. And I'm thinking, where is this going to end? Is this never going to end? Jamaica has not benefited from exploration there, for mining there. Trinidad and Tobago has not benefited from the oil reserves that they've had there, that they sort of share with Venezuela. At least they have their portion of this oil field that goes under the Caribbean Sea, and then part of it is under Venezuela also. Then finally, maybe what I will end with, which really is not an end, but it's really a beginning and symptomatic of U.S. foreign policy and the spread of empire, as well as the inherent racism in many of the acts that the U.S. has carried out in other countries, or the countries that it supports. Two examples, Palestine and Haiti, where still we have people in Palestine being pushed more and more towards the edge, pushed away from their land. The attack on the flotilla that went to take supplies in them, totally against international law, and the Obama administration has yet to come out with any strong statement against that, and nobody has been arrested or imprisoned as a result of the killings of, as far as I know, the killings of those people on the high seas as they were trying to take aid to Palestine. And then Haiti connected with the Gulf of Mexico disaster also. But let me just look at Haiti for a moment. This month is the 6-month anniversary of the earthquake, and there are still people, hundreds and hundreds of people, who do not have housing. I'm sorry, but the UNICEF went there and did vaccinations of a lot of people, and I'm thinking, well, you need housing before you need vaccinations. Why was UNICEF not down there actually putting up houses as fast as you can? They're houses that you can put up really, really fast for situations like this, and it has not been done. Why? There are rumors how there is a vast pocket of, again, oil, gas, gold, who knows, in Haiti. But we don't know why. The bottom line is this is a human rights issue, and this is an outrageous situation where 6 months later people don't have housing and are still living in tents or in shelters that they can cobble together from pieces of rocks and wood and so on. And then the Gulf of Mexico. I'll give you a contrast between, what's the name of that man with BP who was on the television, Tony Hayward. Okay, I have no problems with the British. I myself, my grandfather was English supposedly, so I have no problems with the British. What I have a problem with is BP. And I also have a problem with the Obama administration. Why is Tony Hayward and or more people not in jail? On the other hand, Christopher Dudas Koch, Dudas is his nickname supposedly, is now in jail in New York City. For what? Allegedly trafficking in marijuana and cocaine. The very marijuana and cocaine that the Green Party is seeking to have legalized, regulated, and taxed. And if the Green Party were in power, Dudas Koch would probably not be in jail. As far as I know, he has not caused anyone to die. All right? But Tony Hayward has participated, or his company has facilitated the death of several people, along with a Holocaust dealing with all life forms in the Gulf of Mexico, from which the area will probably not recover for 1 or 2 or maybe more generations. And he is still free. I don't understand it, except to say that this is emblematic of the power of corporations. And so we need to remove that power, remove subsidies from fossil fuel exploration, remove corporate personhood, which offends me highly because it's based on the 14th Amendment, which was intended to give personhood to enslaved people from Africa, and that was used to give personhood to corporations, which is an abomination. So we got a lot of work to do. So, but I think we're all up to it. And I would not be doing this volunteer work of going out here and giving speeches and collecting signatures and so on. So I need your help. We all need your help to collect these signatures. And I have signature forms here, along with instructions, brief instructions as to how to make sure that you fill them out correctly. You take some and you give some to other people for them to then make copies and give to other people, so that we spread it that way, because we absolutely need to get as many signatures as possible, much more than the required minimum, double at least, 2 or 3 times the required minimum, to make absolutely sure that Howie Hawkins gets on the ballot, myself, Cecile Lawrence, gets on the ballot, Coley Clark gets on the ballot, Gloria Matera gets on the ballot, and Julia Willibrand gets on the ballot, so that we can vote for them come November. Thank you.
My question involves the Green Party and its success so far in the country. My understanding is that there have been limited success of smaller Green Party, but nothing on the state senator level. And this would probably be a first for somebody like you to go after a position like that.
Yeah, this is one of the questions that I had when I was talking with people who are longer, have longevity, have tenure, so to speak, in the Green Party. How should I do this campaign? Should I be doing it to focus on getting the Green Party back on the ballot, on the card, so that you don't have to write in Green Party when you're registering to be a Green Party member? Or should I run the campaign on the dream, the idea, the assumption that possibly I might actually get elected? They said, do it both ways. So, yeah, it seems kind of bifurcated that, you know, yeah, for the larger positions, people have not gotten much success in the Green Party or any so-called third party. The problem is that we don't have a two-party system, as you all know right now. What we have is a two-party pro-war system. So which really is just one party. So you want to look at the Green Party maybe as a true second choice, not just a true third choice. We have successes like David Doonan, who is a website designer. He is mayor of Greenwich in New York State. And we have a very strong candidate running for governor in Massachusetts, I believe, and also in California. So around the country, there have been various people who are running for some of the more major positions, as you might call them, the larger positions. We just keep hanging in there. It's like fighting hydrofracking. You think, you know, can you really come up against all these multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar multinational corporations which seem to have no real home anywhere except everywhere on the planet? But the choice is either to fight, to keep hanging in there, or to give up. As Michael Moore has said in his interview with on Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman, that part of being in a democracy is that you keep being an activist. Once you stop being an activist, then you're no longer in a democracy.
What's your response to people who say that they're wasting their vote by voting Green?
I will respond the way others have responded to the listserv. You're wasting your vote when you do it. You vote for the Democrats, because this is one of Howie's stories that I really like. And we're hoping to maybe make it into a video. I'm encouraging them to make it into a video. I even wrote the script recently. He says that, you might have heard him, that the Democrats are like Lucy, and the progressive voters are like Charlie Brown. And Lucy puts out the football there and says, come on, you know, come on, I won't pull it away this time, you know, come and kick it, come and kick it. And every time when the Democrats go and vote for when the people, the progressives who want social change go and vote for the Democrats, they keep being disappointed because the Lucy, the Democrat, keeps pulling away that football from them. So again, the answer for me would be you just keep hanging in there, and hopefully we'll get a critical mass that says enough already. We're tired of corporate domination. We're tired of discrimination of all kinds. We're tired of our tax monies go to fund your multi-million-dollar castles that you're building out in the ocean. Now I understand that some of these CEOs have their residences are these castles out in the ocean. What's the choice? I don't see it as wasting a vote, because we've wasted our votes voting for Democrats, and those of us who have voted for Republicans, those are wasted votes. Yes?
I just would add to your answer and say that you waste your vote for, if you have a protest vote, you waste it when you give it to the Democrats. In other words, it doesn't get counted. I mean, there are those who really maybe like the Democrats, and then there are those who are just choosing the lesser of two evils. But they protest, but they can't write down such and such candidate protest. They can't put the word in there. But if you vote for a Green Party candidate or a third party, then your vote's counted. The protest is registered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good answer. Go ahead.
What do you say to people who say that we can't cut the military budget because we have to defend ourselves?
With the cost of war show that we recently had in Binghamton, you see how much our taxes that are being sucked, this giant sucking sound, as a politician many years ago said, but in a different context, going towards the military-industrial complex. What are we defending ourselves from? Is maybe what we need to ask ourselves. Wouldn't you say that if you assisted those people in those countries that you see as a threat in having better lives for themselves, no baby that I know of is born saying, you know, I am going to grow up and be a terrorist. So how does a person become a terrorist? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but I think a lot of the answer lies in the kind of lives that people lead, who are the leaders of their country, the amount of corruption there is, and the amount of poverty there is, the lack of access to education, lack of access to food, lack of access to clean water, housing, I could go on and on. Lack of rights for women, so that women don't feel that they have to be dominated by males in their culture, wherever that culture is. I grew up in a male-dominated culture, so I kind of know a little bit about this. I think the first question to ask is, why are people thinking that the U.S. is an enemy? And a lot of it has to do with the presence of U.S. military in other countries. We have tried this for such a long time, have all these bases across the world, and things haven't gotten any better. Let's try something different. Let's try pulling out as many of the bases as possible, maybe 75% at least, and see if things will change. Because what we have right now is not working as far as protecting ourselves. And I really don't think it's protecting ourselves. I think it's on the evidence. You read Howard Zinn and you see, like for the Vietnam War, it wasn't really to go and protect the U.S. from communist incursion or so on. It was for getting the resources that those countries had. Same thing with Iraq and Afghanistan. Think pipeline with regard to Afghanistan, right? Is for getting those resources under the guise of protecting the U.S. from attack or invasion.
Yes. Recently, I had 2 encounters with people from the Tea Party. One was at a flea market, and one was at the vigil. And you know, honestly, they're really some very dedicated people who are talking about the national debt and are talking about our country as an imperialist power. And I'm really looking for ways where we can see some common ground. I know that the Green Party has kind of a liberal, you know, kind of sheen to it, and I don't think that's our natural constituency. I think it's people who are seeking to have meals in the food pantries, and these are the people who are going to either go to the Tea Party or, you know, if they get involved in politics at all. But they're not necessarily, those are the people I want to reach out to with our message, and I thank you very much for running.
I agree with you to reaching out to members of the Tea Party who are reachable. I would say, just like any other group of people, you have a wide spectrum. You might probably have with the Tea Party members those who think like we do, that we got to do something about the debt. We got to do something about the power of corporations, with government intruding upon our lives, except that then there are those in the Tea Party who don't understand it was because of government not intruding upon our lives enough why we have the Gulf disaster. So for them to see the ways where government works and the ways where government doesn't work, to see it a little bit more nuanced and not totally in black and white. And mentioning black and white, to be honest with you, I have concerns about what I have read about and seen on video about some of the, what I would describe of racist behavior of some members, of some people who call themselves Tea Party members. I'll give you a little anecdote. I recently met a man, 2 men, and apparently they've been to where Tea Party people were demonstrating or having something on the street corner or something. And it occurred to one of them that next time they would come, and the man who looked sort of Latino, he would come wearing a sombrero. And he showed up on the corner there, and one of the women who was with the Tea Party group came over to him and said in his face, so close to his face, "Go home back to Mexico." The thing is, he's born and raised and speaks, and he said, no speak English, which infuriated her even more. But he's fluent, because I spoke with him. He's fluent in English. So this is what concerns me. that and immigration reform was one of the platform planks that I omitted in mentioning, to find a way for people not to have to leave their home, which goes back again to U.S. foreign policy. And also, how do we deal with racism? You know, it seems that both racism and corporate domination seem to be at the root of so many of the issues that we're dealing with here. Yes.
I would like all parties that use the term terrorism to define it, because I think we're a terrorist nation. If any definition I've seen of terrorism would include us. But secondly, I wanted to mention that fighting education on a college level, most of the private schools are also funding funding politicians that do not want to make a university available to everybody.
Yes, yeah. I have if I may respond to that a little bit and then respond to your question. One of the other things that I may or may not have mentioned it, because like I said, it's impossible to put all the issues on two little cards here, was decent jobs, decent union jobs, union-supported jobs is one of the main planks of the Green Party New York and Green Party US platform. I had the experience working recently for 2 quarters teaching at a private institution, which I won't necessarily name because it's just one example of many, that has a very strong ROTC program. And also many of the buildings you could see are named after people that we know are politicians in New York State, or large corporations, which can be the same thing, politicians, corporations. And the pay that an adjunct lecturer gets there, you can't live on. So I was teaching 4 sections, 1 quarter, and 3 sections the next quarter. So in 6 months, I taught the maximum amount of sections that you, by New York State law, are allowed to teach in 1 year. I was exhausted when I finished after that 6 months. And this institution charges at least $20,000 or more for tuition alone. Not meals and boarding, $20,000 plus. And it was didn't have any unions there. Now I know where I've taught adjunct at colleges that have a union. You teach 2 courses and you become eligible for benefits. No benefits at this place, even though I was teaching 4 sections. So yeah, we need union support, strong union supported jobs, and an appreciation for the value of education, no matter what level. We need more people who have at least a college, a bachelor's degree. And the way to do that is to make sure that our K through 12 is strong, and that it's valued, that we don't resort to charter schools, that we that we do what's necessary in order to bring up the level of our public K through 12, so that we have better prepared students who can then enter college and get that free bachelor's degree in whatever they're strong in and have an interest in.
Yeah, next question was, where does the Green Party stand on the issue of abortion rights, the choice versus pro-life, pro-choice versus pro-life debate?
This is a decision between a woman and her medical provider, that the government should not be getting into it, and you should not be having laws that tell you what you can or cannot do with your body. So to put it plainly, it's pro-choice. One of the planks is pro-choice. Yes.
Yeah, I heard you address some of the issues that the Tea Party puts forward that we would disagree with. And another one I'm thinking of is taxation. And I'm sure the Green Party has got a strong platform on progressive taxation possibly, and how things used to be funded somewhat easily in days gone by, but now with this running away from taxes and shrinking government, how do we, get back to where we can put people back to work, have government that works, and have a fair taxation system where the rich don't keep everything?
We need to stop being afraid of the rich. Somehow the legislators, probably because of campaign donations, got either afraid of them or got bought by people who are very, very wealthy to say that we will stop giving you, again, campaign finance reform. We need to really work on that.